You are now listening to Handsome Reads. Hey, real quick, I needed to consider this. You are exactly where you are due to an amazing cocktail of choice and fate. Have you considered that? Like, really considered the gravity of that. As they say, life isn't happening to you, my friend. It is happening for you. Love your life and live your love. Hugs. I mean, if hugs, right? I'm sending hugs. Welcome back to you, my favorite listeners and members of the Handsome Reads community. I trust that this past week has been good to you, and you are ready to leave the tidings of the day behind for a little bit as we dive back into another episode of Army of Sin. Roll out those kings from your shoulders and kick those shoes off as we dive back into the thick of it. Today's episode is titled The Visit and remains set in the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Rand ran full tilt through the old hunter trails, welcoming the pain that burned through his lower half as his arms pumped. Dressed only in ripped and faded jeans that now clung to his skin from the rain, he allowed his rage to take over, trying his best to literally distance himself from the advice of his mothers. The angry welts about his bare chest went unnoticed as he tore through the shrubbery, going further and further uphill, while still the words dogged his stride. Let her go, came Mafaina's bluntness in his mental pathways. Sometimes we hold on to things. Ma Alice's warmth. He rent the air with his curses, dodging upturned boulders and trees that bore the scars of erosion. In the eye of his mental storm, however, hovered Kaya's face, smiling and gorgeous as always. Dude, seriously, you need to stop. A feminine voice floated through his airways. Rand didn't recognize the voice, nor did he slow his run, his body knowing just where to carry him. It was almost as though the running provided him with clarity, until it felt as though he was running with Kaya's face in his field of vision. Definitely not the type of clarity he sought at this time. He remembered when her face had turned to terror. The admiration and happiness leached away to be replaced by something much more fragile. Her lip, the soft curve that was always kept moist, had quivered, her eyes welling as he bared a secret only those currently in the house he now ran from had known up until that moment. What did you think would have happened? Came that same feminine but strange voice once more. Shaking his head in an effort to remove the voice, he observed the change of the landscape that signaled the end of his run. He had only been 17 when he had first come to this clearing, guided by Mafaina as his anger showed no signs of dimming. The spirit of that woman would not permit her to leave him to wallow. It was a lasting memory, the first time she had ever hugged him. Stiff, yet holding warmth he once thought her incapable of. A place of meditation, she had offered. A place where you can control the thoughts, shout, and cry, if necessary. Pulling him once more into her embrace, she had hugged him tightly before turning to leave him atop the clearing. Now, as Rand entered that very clearing, his stride shortened, stumbling slightly as he found himself staring at an unwelcome guest, back turned towards him. Ah, so you finally arrive, Rand Matend, the stranger greeted, turning to face him. It was not often that Rand Matend was stunned. Tonight, Team Surprise had just secured another point. She was built light, no extravagant curves in sight. The lack of light also made it harder to discern more of her features, save for the wings that dwarfed the tiny frame connected to them. If her voice was any indication, she sounded as though she would be gorgeous to look at. As if she had somehow heard his thoughts, her eyes glowed briefly to bright amber before fading, her face once more covered by the mask of night. Wait a second, he thought. That voice sounded familiar. Are you done sizing me up, mortal? She asked, tone mocking him. Not really, but who or what are you? He asked, deciding he was either dreaming or hallucinating from being struck too hard during his sparring session. There was no way this little pixie of a woman had wings. No way. Instincts had him snapping into a defensive stance as he sensed motion from where she stood. Soft laughter reached his ears as the strange woman slowly came into focus. A white glow, no smaller than a dot, slowly expanding by the second. Is this better? She asked. The glow floating between them before taking the shape of a lantern, levitating in the space and illuminating the clearing. Rand stared at the woman, being or whatever the hell she was, eyes roaming as he traced her features under the improved illumination. Her hands were out of sight, buried in the folds of the grey hoodie she sported, dressed in flip-flops and jean shorts that cut mid-thigh. Her legs were thick and smooth, insides of them almost touching as she stood with her feet shoulder-width apart. Her face was rounded, almost oval-shaped, hair cut low, with one side shaven almost to her skull. In her ears were what looked like arrow charms that ran diagonally from the base of her earlobe through the upper cartilage. Full lips, painted black, now held a slight smirk as she followed his eyes' journey. Her smile grew as she saw his gaze settle just over her shoulder, his thick brows coming together as he pondered just what it was he was looking at. Your wings, Rand spoke, relaxing his defensive stance. Yeah. Wham to them. Never see an angel with some black wings before? She responded in the flawless Trini sing-song of her beloved Caribbean. Rand looked away from the wings that curved over the top of her shoulders to fix her with an incredulous stare, eyebrow raised. Oh, right. First time you're probably seeing one of my kind, she replied. No matter. Yes, I'm real. No, you aren't dreaming. Angels have all different types of wing colors. No, this is not a social visit. Yes, it was my voice you were hearing in your head. And no, I'm not here to kill you. Not yet, anyway. She winked, as if the thought gave her much amusement. But you have piercings. After all I just revealed, that is what you take away? Jeez Louise. Her face grew serious. No hint of amusement in her voice as she said gravely, I come bearing a warning, mortal. Get your anger under control. Or else, look, lady, I know you don't know me, but I don't take kindly to threats, Rand warned, folding his arms as he studied his approach should it come to violence. Her eyes glowed softly as she stared up at him, suddenly inches from where he stood. You think I don't know you, Rand Matend? He finally saw a closer look into her mouth. Her teeth were slightly longer than any he had ever seen. Not like fangs like a vampire, but the teeth next to her incisors, that's either canines or premolars, if he remembered correctly, were sharpened and slightly curved. Her lips were matte black, texture appearing soft and lush as he stared down at her, hiding the surprise of her close proximity within his mind. Orphan, always suffered from an uncontrollable rage, killed a man in protection of an innocent, which is the only reason you are still breathing, I might add. Superb stamina, in love with Kaya Alexis, former frontline singer, draws secret pleasure from singing while in the shower. Sounds about right? Oh, and before I forget, trying to hide your surprise at how fast I moved. Get out of my face, Rand enunciated, taking a deep breath as his mind calmed for battle. Breathing suddenly became a challenge as his feet left the ground, a vice squeezing as her fingers gripped the expanse of his Adam's apple. Do not seek to anger me, mortal. She spat out the last word, eyes glowing amber as her wings beat slowly, keeping them both off the ground. Rand could feel the crackling power that vibrated through his body, sending a fresh wave of anger through his head as his position on the food chain just readjusted itself. Seems like you're pretty angry to me, he forced out. My goodness, the mouth on this one, the angel mused. To be continued. Well, well, well. It seems the immortals and the mortals are finally coming into contact with one another. I trust you enjoyed today's episode. So before you close me off, just a reminder to hit the like button, share with your friends and family. By the way, before we head out, only 4 episodes remain in our first season together. So hold on to your socks. We have some discoveries to make. Until next time, my good people, and as always, love and light.